The world witnessed a significant event in October 2024. This event was not just another summit, but a gathering that could potentially redefine the global economic landscape. The BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, marked a pivotal moment in global economic relations. Leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa convened to discuss pressing economic issues and future collaborations. This gathering represented a potential restructuring of international power dynamics. The discussions were intense, focusing on how these nations could leverage their collective strength to influence global markets. Many described this summit as historic. The media coverage was extensive, with journalists from around the world capturing every moment and headline writers emphasizing the significance of the event. The decisions made in Kazan are likely to shape the economic landscape for future generations. Economists are already analyzing the potential long-term impacts, and young students are being inspired to study the evolving field of global economics. BRICS initially comprised Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These nations came together with a vision to create a platform for cooperation and mutual growth. These nations sought to create a platform for cooperation and assert their collective influence. Over the years, they have launched numerous collaborative projects, strengthening their economic ties. Over time, BRICS has grown from a forum for discussion to a concrete economic bloc. The group's influence has expanded, and their agreements have led to significant economic developments. The Kazan summit was noteworthy for the expansion of the BRICS bloc. This expansion was seen as a strategic move to include more nations in their economic framework. 13 new partner countries, including Bolivia, Cuba, Nigeria, and Turkey, were brought into the fold. This inclusion is expected to diversify and strengthen the group's economic and political influence. This expansion increased the collective economic weight and demographic reach of the group. The new members bring in fresh perspectives and resources, enhancing the bloc's overall capabilities. The scale of participation underscored its importance, with 36 world leaders attending. This level of engagement highlights the global interest in the BRICS initiative and its potential impact. The discussions in Kazan reflected the shifting sands of global power. As the world watches, the outcomes of this summit could herald a new era in international relations and economic policies. The BRICS expansion signifies a fundamental shift in economic power. The expanded BRICS bloc now possesses a larger GDP than the G7 nations. This shift is not just about current GDP figures, but also future growth trajectories. BRICS countries are growing faster than G7 nations, suggesting a long-term trend. Recent analyses show that the combined GDP of China and its allies is now greater than that of the United States and its traditional allies. This highlights the central role of China within the BRICS framework. The rise of BRICS signifies the most substantial challenge to the established order. It is about influence, setting global rules, and the future direction of international development. The speed and scale of this shift demand attention and understanding. Despite these shifts, the United States appears to be inadequately addressing this new reality. The political landscape in Washington seems to be stuck in a time warp, unable to adapt to the rapidly changing global dynamics. There is a concerning lack of urgency from policymakers in Washington. They continue to focus on outdated strategies, ignoring the pressing need for innovation and forward-thinking policies. The prevailing attitude often downplays the significance of the BRICS challenge. This nonchalant approach overlooks the growing influence of these emerging economies. This approach fails to grasp the structural changes underway. The global economic landscape is shifting, and the US must recognize and adapt to these changes to maintain its leadership. Ignoring this economic shift could lead to significant strategic mistakes. The consequences of such oversight could be dire, affecting not just the economy, but also the geopolitical standing of the United States. The US risks being unprepared for the consequences, such as a reduced role in international financial institutions. This diminished influence could have long-term repercussions. Acknowledging the new multipolar reality is the first step towards formulating effective strategies. Embracing this change can open up new avenues for collaboration and growth. The consequences of inaction could isolate the United States economically and politically. This isolation could lead to a loss of influence and opportunities on the global stage. The world is becoming more interconnected, requiring a collaborative approach. The US must engage with other nations to address global challenges effectively. A fundamental reassessment of US foreign and economic policy is urgently needed. This reassessment should be comprehensive, involving all stakeholders to ensure a holistic approach. This reassessment must involve tangible changes in how America engages with the world. Only through proactive and strategic engagement can the US secure its position in the new global order. The shifting global dynamics have profound echoes within the United States. Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election was an unprecedented revolt by the American working class. This was an expression of deep-seated frustration and anger. Many working people feel left behind by an economic system that no longer works for them. This revolt has its roots in 4 decades of neoliberal globalization. The hollowing out of American manufacturing has left a legacy of economic decline and social despair. The need for a genuine progressive economic agenda has never been more apparent. The domestic discontent in the United States is linked to extreme wealth inequality. Since 2020, 2/3 of all new wealth generated globally has gone to the top 1%. In America, the nation's 806 billionaires hold more wealth than half the US population combined. This extreme concentration creates immense social and economic strain. Real wages for American workers have largely stagnated since the 1970s. Many families are working harder just to stay in place, facing rising costs for housing, healthcare, and education. This extreme wealth inequality has dire environmental consequences. Billionaires can emit more carbon pollution in 90 minutes than an average person does in their entire lifetime. The fight for economic justice and environmental sustainability are interconnected struggles. We must address both to create a more equitable and sustainable future. The immense concentration of wealth translates into disproportionate political influence. Billionaires exert significant sway over electoral politics and voter perceptions. They achieve this through campaign donations, funding think tanks, and direct lobbying efforts. Many major media outlets are owned by billionaires, leading to a narrowing of permissible discourse. This ownership structure often omits critical issues from public discussion. By controlling the narrative, these powerful media entities maintain a status quo that benefits the wealthy few. The deep-seated economic discontent underscores the need for an alternative to neoliberal policies. Both major US political parties have embraced neoliberalism, which has failed the majority of Americans. We need a bold departure from this paradigm, prioritizing human needs and environmental sustainability. Successful policies from other countries offer valuable lessons. Many European nations provide models for social welfare that stand in stark contrast to the American system. Free or low-cost higher education and universal healthcare systems are commonplace. Italy's Marcora law supports the creation of worker cooperatives, empowering workers and fostering democratic workplaces. We must critically examine and reject policies that exacerbate existing problems. Deporting 11 million undocumented immigrants would be economically disastrous. Such policies are driven by ideology rather than sound analysis. The expanded BRICS bloc is a genuine economic competitor to the United States and its G7 allies. The faster growth rates and alternative financial mechanisms point towards a significant rebalancing of global power. However, there are divergent views on the nature and impact of BRICS. Some see BRICS as a Subimperial formation, seeking a more prominent place within the existing global capitalist system. BRICS countries are responsible for a significant portion of global carbon emissions. This raises questions about whether BRICS will contribute to or hinder efforts to address the climate crisis. The BRICS platform has also become a forum for discussing major geopolitical issues. This highlights the multifaceted nature of BRICS as an economic and political player. We are living through a period of unprecedented global and domestic shifts. The world as we know it is undergoing rapid transformations, affecting every aspect of our lives, from the economy to social structures. The rise of the expanded BRICS bloc signals a fundamental reordering of the world economy. This shift is not just about economic power, but also about political influence and cultural exchange. This external transformation is mirrored by profound internal challenges within nations like the United States. Social unrest, political polarization, and economic disparities are becoming more pronounced. Decades of neoliberal policies have hollowed out domestic industries and created extreme wealth concentration. The gap between the rich and the poor has widened, leading to a fractured society. The old answers are insufficient for the new questions posed by our current reality. We need innovative solutions and fresh perspectives to navigate these uncharted waters. The dominant economic paradigm of the last 40 years has failed to deliver shared prosperity. Instead, it has led to economic instability and social discontent. The crises we face demand a fundamental rethinking of how our economies and societies are organized. Collaboration and inclusivity are key to developing sustainable solutions. The path forward requires an urgent commitment to systemic change. We must be willing to challenge the status quo and embrace new paradigms. We must look to successful examples of social welfare, worker empowerment, and environmental protection. These initiatives provide a blueprint for a more resilient and equitable future. Building a more just, equitable, and sustainable future is an absolute necessity in these turbulent times. Our collective actions today will determine the world of tomorrow.